Sandra's silent burden. The night was calm, but Sandra Bullock's heart was not. She sat alone in her living room, the soft glow of a single lamp making shadows on the wall. Her hands trembled as she held an old photograph, one that carried more weight than anyone around her could ever imagine. For years, she had smiled in public, given her best in every performance, and stood strong for everyone who looked up to her. But deep inside, there was a truth she had kept hidden, a secret so heavy that it threatened to break her spirit. In the first few minutes of this story, we must step into her heart. Imagine Sandra sitting there, knowing that if she shared this truth, the world would change how they saw her. She whispered to herself, "Will they understand me or will they judge me?" Her voice was weak, almost breaking. Every word carried years of pain. Just then, her phone lit up. It was Keanu Reeves. He was someone she had trusted for years, someone who had shown her nothing but kindness. Still, she hesitated. Could she let him know what she had never dared to say out loud? She stared at the screen, her thumb hovering over the button, her breath quick and uneven. If he knows, she thought, he may walk away. But at the same time, she knew he was the only one strong enough to hear it. Keanu's voice on the phone was calm, filled with warmth. "Sandra, I don't know why, but I feel like you are not okay. Talk to me." Those words pierced through her silence like light breaking into a dark room. Her eyes filled with tears. She wanted to speak, but her lips froze. She pressed the phone closer to her ear, holding on to his voice like it was the only lifeline she had. The silence on her end made Keanu more worried. "You don't have to be strong right now," he said gently. "You can be yourself. I will listen." This was the hook that kept her there, caught between fear and the chance to finally release the secret she had carried for so long. As minutes passed, the room felt smaller, the walls closing in on her. She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the city lights sparkled, each one looking like a reminder of people who lived freely, unburdened. She wondered if she would ever feel that lightness. When she finally spoke, her voice cracked. "Keanu, there is something I have never told anyone. It has been with me for years. It shaped the way I see myself. I tried to bury it, but it never left me." Her hands shook harder. She pressed her forehead against the glass of the window, the cool touch grounding her for a second. Keanu's reply was quiet but steady. "Then tonight don't carry it alone. Give me the truth, and I promise I will not let it hurt you." Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might give out. She remembered every moment she had hidden behind a smile, every award night where she laughed but wanted to cry, every interview where she dodged questions that came too close to her real story. And in that moment, she knew this was the turning point. If she shared her secret, she could lose control of how the world saw her. But if she didn't, she would never heal. Her tears fell faster now, her shoulders shaking. She whispered, "Keanu, I'm afraid. If you know, maybe you'll see me differently," he answered. "Sandra, the way I see you is with respect and care. Nothing you say can take that away." His words settled deep into her heart, but the fear still battled with her courage. Outside, the sound of distant traffic echoed like a reminder that life kept moving. But for Sandra, time felt frozen. She closed her eyes, took a breath that carried years of unshed pain, and prepared herself to speak the truth for the first time. And just as she opened her mouth to reveal it, the sound of her doorbell rang. The unexpected noise shook her out of that fragile moment. She wiped her tears quickly, fear returning. Who could it be at this hour? Her secret was about to come out, but not in the way she had planned. This was only the beginning of her journey, a journey that would test her resilience, her humility, and her trust in the kindness of those who cared for her. The unexpected visitor, the sound of the doorbell echoed through the quiet house. Sandra froze. Her heart was already heavy from the secret she had almost revealed, and now this sudden interruption felt like fate was testing her. She glanced at the phone still in her hand, Keanu's voice softly urging, "Sandra, what's going on?" Her lips trembled as she whispered, "Someone is here." She hesitated for a moment, torn between staying safe in the silence of her room or facing whoever stood on the other side of that door. The bell rang again. Longer this time, almost demanding her attention. With slow, unsteady steps, she walked toward the door. Each step felt heavier, her mind racing with questions. Was it a friend, a stranger, or someone from her past? When she opened the door, she found a familiar face, an old friend from years ago, a woman named Claire. Sandra's breath caught. She had not seen Claire in more than a decade. Yet here she was, standing in the dim light with eyes full of concern. "Sandra," Claire said softly, her voice trembling with both relief and sadness. "I had to come." "I heard something, and I couldn't stay away." Sandra's grip on the doorknob tightened. Her chest rose and fell quickly, almost in panic. She turned slightly, as if to shield the phone in her hand, but Keanu's voice still carried faintly through the speaker. Claire stepped closer. "You don't have to hide anymore. You know what I'm talking about." The words hit Sandra like thunder. She felt the ground beneath her feet shift. All these years she had protected her secret, carried it in silence, convinced no one truly knew. And now, here stood Claire, speaking with a certainty that cut through her defenses. She whispered sharply, "How do you know?" Claire's eyes filled with tears. "Because I was there, Sandra. I saw the pain you went through. You thought no one noticed, but I did. I carried it too all these years, waiting for you to trust me again." Sandra felt her knees weaken. She pressed her back against the doorframe to steady herself. Her mind was a storm. Keanu on the phone urging her to open her heart, and Claire at the door, bringing the past back to life. Keanu's voice broke the silence again. "Sandra, please." "Don't shut down. Let me be here for you." Sandra turned her face toward the phone and then back to Claire. For the first time, she realized she could no longer run from her truth. But her fear spoke louder. "If I speak," she said in a whisper, "everything will change. The world will never see me the same way again." Claire reached out gently, her hand hovering as if she wanted to hold Sandra's, but afraid to cross the line without permission. Sometimes change is the only way to heal. Sometimes breaking the silence is the only way to feel alive again. Her words shook Sandra, but they also sparked something deep inside, a small flame of courage. Sandra stepped back into the living room, motioning for Claire to come inside. The air felt thick, heavy with what was about to unfold. She sat down on the couch, Keanu's voice still alive on speaker, Claire sitting across from her, eyes never leaving hers. And then, for the first time in years, Sandra began to speak. Not about scripts or awards, not about the image she had built, but about the truth that had been locked in her heart. Her voice trembled, but it grew stronger with every word. "I thought if I kept it hidden, I could survive. But I was wrong. The secret has been surviving me." Keanu's breath caught on the line. Claire leaned forward, her hand finally finding Sandra's. Sandra closed her eyes, ready to let it out, when suddenly her phone buzzed again. Another call. This time, the name flashing on the screen made her heart stop. It was someone she never expected to hear from again. Someone tied deeply to the secret itself. The weight of the moment grew unbearable. The past, the present, and the future all collided in that single second. Sandra knew there was no turning back. The truth was coming, but not without a storm. The call from the past. The phone buzzed again, louder this time, vibrating in her trembling hand. Sandra stared at the screen, her breath caught in her chest. The name flashing there was like a shadow rising from a part of her life she had tried to bury forever. It was Daniel. For years, she had avoided him, cut every tie, and told herself that distance would erase the wounds he left behind. But now, in the middle of her breaking silence, he appeared again, his name glowing on her phone like a ghost demanding to be heard. Keanu's voice was still soft but urgent on speaker. "Sandra, who is it?" "You've gone quiet." She couldn't answer. Her throat tightened. Claire leaned forward, her voice trembling. "You don't have to answer it. You don't owe him anything." But Sandra's finger hovered over the green button. Her heart raced. All the years of silence, all the fear, all the hidden scars, they pressed against her chest like a storm. Finally, with a breath that felt like fire, she answered. "Hello?" Her voice was almost broken. There was a pause, then a deep, familiar voice spoke. "Sandra, it's been a long time." The sound of his tone made her skin crawl. It was the same voice that once controlled her, the same voice that had made her believe she wasn't enough. "Why now?" she whispered, her eyes filling with tears. "Why are you calling me now?" Daniel's tone was heavy with guilt. "Because I heard you're finally speaking about it, and I need to say I'm sorry before the world knows who I really was." Claire's hand gripped Sandra's tightly. Keanu, listening through the phone, said firmly, "You don't have to listen to him. You don't need his words to heal." But Sandra shook her head slowly. "No, Keanu. I need to hear this. I need to face him, even if it breaks me." Her voice cracked, but there was strength hidden in the pain. Daniel sighed deeply. "I was young. I was cruel. I thought I was strong by making you small, but I only destroyed myself. I can't take back what I did to you, but I can tell you I regret it. Every single day." His words dug deep into her. She remembered the nights of silence, the days she smiled on camera but cried when the lights went off. She remembered the way his actions had shaped her secret, the reason she had built walls so high no one could climb over them. Sandra whispered, "Do you know what you did to me? You made me doubt my worth. You made me live with shame that was never mine to carry. You left me with silence that ate me alive." There was a pause. Then Daniel said, "I know, and I hate myself for it." Her tears flowed freely now, her shoulders shaking. Claire held her tighter. Keanu's voice broke through again, steady as ever. "Sandra, listen to me. His apology doesn't define you. Your strength does. Your kindness does. You are not what he tried to make you believe." Those words sank deep into her heart. She realized something powerful in that moment. She didn't need Daniel's apology to heal. She didn't need his regret to make her whole again. What she needed was her own courage, her own voice. She took a deep breath. "Daniel, I hear your words, but my healing won't come from you. It will come from me. And tonight, I am done carrying your shadow." Her voice was steady now, stronger than it had been in years. Daniel was silent. For the first time, Sandra felt the weight shift off her shoulders. She ended the call. Her hand shook as she placed the phone down, but her spirit felt lighter. Keanu's voice came through softly. "I'm proud of you," Claire whispered. "You finally took the first step." Sandra wiped her tears, her chest rising and falling with both exhaustion and relief. But deep down, she knew this was only the beginning. Telling the truth to Claire and Keanu was one thing, but sharing it with the world, that was another storm entirely. And as she sat there, the phone buzzed once more. But this time, it wasn't Daniel. It was her manager leaving her with one haunting message. Tomorrow, the press will know. Her secret, once locked so tightly inside, was about to face the entire world. The storm ahead, Sandra stared at the message on her phone, her chest tightening as if the air had suddenly grown thin. Tomorrow, the press will know. Those words echoed in her mind again and again. She felt the walls closing in, her secret slipping from her hands before she could fully own it. Claire looked at her, eyes wide with fear. "Sandra, what does that mean?" Sandra's lips trembled as she whispered, "It means I have no time. Everything I wanted to control will be out there, whether I'm ready or not." Keanu's voice, still steady on speaker, broke the silence. "Then you need to decide, Sandra. Will you let them tell your story, or will you tell it yourself?" The words hit her hard. All her life, she had carefully protected her image, her silence, her pain. She thought she could hold the truth forever. But now, she stood on the edge of exposure, and the choice was clear. Hide and let the world twist her truth, or stand and speak it with her own voice. Tears blurred her vision. She turned to Claire, whispering, "I don't know if I'm strong enough." Claire reached for her hand. "You are. I've seen your strength even when you thought no one was watching. I saw you carry this burden all these years. Now it's time to put it down." Sandra felt a sob rise in her throat, but she held it back. She remembered every moment of pretending, every award night where she smiled though her heart ached, every script where she buried herself in someone else's story to escape her own. Keanu's voice grew firmer. "Sandra, I've known you for years. I've seen your kindness, your resilience, your humility. Don't let fear erase the truth of who you are. If you tell the world, They will not just see your pain. They will see your courage." His words were like a hand reaching through the darkness. But still, doubt gnawed at her. "What if they don't believe me? What if they call me weak?" Keanu paused for a moment, then answered with quiet strength. "Then let them. Their doubt cannot erase your truth. Real strength is not in silence. It's in standing up when your voice shakes." Sandra closed her eyes, pressing her palms together as if in prayer. Her whole body trembled, but there was a fire beginning to grow deep inside, one that even fear could not fully smother. That night, she sat at her desk with Claire beside her and Keanu's voice steady on the line. She opened her journal, the one where she had poured her pain in secret for years. Page after page was filled with words no one had ever read. She whispered, "Maybe this is where I start. Maybe I show them the real me." Claire nodded. "Start with the truth. Not the polished version, not the safe version, the real one." Her hand shook as she picked up the pen. She began to write, not as the actress the world knew, but as the woman who had lived through nights of loneliness and days of hidden pain. The words flowed like a river breaking free after years of being blocked. Keanu's voice came softly again. "When the sun rises, you'll have a choice. Let fear speak or let your heart speak. Either way, I'll be here." His promise wrapped around her like a shield. The hours passed, and Sandra wrote until her hand ached, until tears blurred the ink on the page. For the first time, she was not writing to hide. She was writing to reveal. But as dawn approached, her phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't her manager. It was a news alert. The headline already spreading across the screen made her blood run cold. Her secret was no longer waiting. It was already out. "The world reacts." The glow of dawn filtered through the curtains, soft golden light filling Sandra's room. But there was no warmth in her chest. Her eyes locked on the headline glowing on her phone screen. Her secret was out. The words stared back at her like sharp glass. Details she had never spoken aloud were now being shared for the world to consume. Lines twisted by reporters, half-truths, and speculation filled the page. Her hands shook as she scrolled. Every sentence cut her deeper. Claire gasped, her hand covering her mouth. "They already published it. They didn't even give you a chance." Sandra felt her breath quicken. Her heart pounded painfully in her chest. "They took it from me. My story. It's not mine anymore." Keanu's voice on the phone was steady, but she could hear the anger beneath his calm. "Sandra, listen to me. They may have written the words first, but they don't own the truth. Only you do. The world hasn't heard your voice yet." But Sandra could barely hear him. The flood of messages had already begun. Her phone buzzed endlessly, reporters asking for statements, friends reaching out, strangers sending words that ranged from sympathy to cruelty. She whispered, almost to herself, "I can't breathe." Claire wrapped her arms around her, holding her tightly as if she could shield her from the storm. "You don't have to face this alone," she said softly. Sandra buried her face against Claire's shoulder, tears streaming down her cheeks. "All these years I kept it hidden so I wouldn't be seen as weak. And now they're calling me broken." Keanu's voice grew firmer. "You are not broken. You are human. And every scar you carry is proof of your strength, not weakness." His words pulled at something deep inside her. Still, the fear remained. When she finally dared to open social media, her heart sank further. Some people praised her courage, but many others were cruel. The screen was filled with voices, some doubting, some mocking, some twisting her story into something it wasn't. The weight of their judgment pressed down like a stone on her chest. But then, in the middle of the storm, a message appeared that made her pause. It was from a young woman, a stranger. "Thank you, Sandra. Because of your story, I finally told mine. I don't feel alone anymore." Her tears slowed. She read the words again and again. One message among thousands, but it felt like a light breaking through the clouds. She whispered, "Someone understands me." Claire smiled through her own tears. "See? Your truth is already helping someone else," Keanu added quietly. "This is why you had to speak. Not for the critics, not for the headlines, but for the ones who needed to know they weren't alone." Sandra clutched the phone to her chest, her body trembling. But can I really stand before the world and own this? Can I face them when I'm still afraid? Keanu didn't hesitate. Yes, you can. Because courage is not the absence of fear, Sandra. It's choosing to stand anyway. His words sank deep into her heart. She realized that while the storm outside was raging, something inside her was shifting. The pain was still there, but now it was mixed with purpose. She turned to Claire, her voice still shaky but more certain than before. Then I have to speak. Not tomorrow, not next week, today, before they write the ending for me. Claire nodded, squeezing her hand. Then we'll do it together. Keanu's voice, calm and steady, carried through the line. I'll be with you, no matter what. Sandra wiped her tears, lifted her head, and for the first time since the truth escaped into the world, she felt a spark of strength. The storm was not over, but she was ready to step into it. The voice of truth, the afternoon sun poured through the tall windows of the small press hall. Chairs were lined in neat rows, cameras already set up, microphones waiting. Outside, reporters gathered, their voices buzzing with speculation. The air carried the heavy weight of expectation. Inside a quiet room at the back, Sandra sat at a wooden table, her hands folded tightly together. Her eyes were swollen from crying, but there was a strange calm on her face. Claire sat beside her, holding her hand, while Keanu's voice came gently through the phone resting on the table. Sandra, Keanu said softly, remember, this is your moment. Don't give it to fear. Speak the truth and let the world hear your heart. Sandra closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. I don't want them to see me as a victim, Keanu. I want them to see me as someone who survived. Claire squeezed her hand. Then that's exactly what you'll show them. A knock came at the door. Her manager peeked inside nervously. They're ready for you. Sandra's chest tightened. Her body trembled, but her spirit was steady. She rose from the chair slowly, every step toward the stage heavy with memory but also with purpose. When she walked out, the flashes from cameras lit the room like lightning. The noise of reporters filled the air, but as she stood at the podium, everything went silent in her mind. She looked at the sea of faces staring back at her, some curious, some doubtful, some eager for scandal. But somewhere out there, she imagined the young woman who had sent her that message, the one who said, I don't feel alone anymore. That was who she was speaking to. Her voice shook at first, but then it grew steadier. For many years, I carried a silence. I carried it because I thought if I spoke, people would see me differently. I thought they would see me as weak. But the truth is, silence did not protect me. It only broke me a little more each day. The room was silent. Every ear leaned closer. What you've read in headlines is not the whole story, she continued. My truth is not just about pain. It's about resilience. It's about choosing to keep going, even when your spirit feels crushed. It's about learning that real strength is not hiding your wounds, but showing them, because someone else may need to know they are not the only one hurting. Her voice cracked, but she didn't stop. Tears glistened in her eyes, but they didn't weaken her words. I will not let fear write my story anymore. I will write it myself. And if sharing this helps even one person feel less alone, then everything I went through will have meaning. The silence in the hall was overwhelming. No one moved, no one spoke. The flashes of cameras slowed. The weight of her words lingered in the air. Then softly at first, a ripple of applause began. It grew louder, filling the hall, some reporters even standing. It was not the applause of curiosity or spectacle. It was respect. Sandra's tears fell freely now, but her heart felt lighter than it had in years. In the quiet room backstage, Claire hugged her tightly, whispering, You did it. You faced them. On the phone, Keanu's voice was warm, steady, filled with pride. I told you nothing could take away your truth. Tonight the world saw your strength. Sandra smiled through her tears. For the first time in so long, I feel free. But even as relief washed over her, she knew the journey wasn't over. Outside the applause, there would still be critics, still be voices trying to twist her story. But now she had her own voice, and she would never silence it again. As she walked out of the hall into the golden light of the setting sun, her phone buzzed once more. This time it was a message from someone she never expected to hear from, a voice of kindness from the past that could change everything. The final truth. The sun was low on the horizon, painting the sky with shades of gold and orange as Sandra stepped out of the hall. The applause still echoed faintly in her ears, but her heart was quiet now. She held her phone in her hand, staring at the new message that had just arrived. It was from her mother. Her hands trembled as she read the words. "I watched you. I am proud of you. You are stronger than you know. You don't have to hide anymore." Her breath caught. Tears welled in her eyes again, but this time they were not tears of fear. They were tears of release. For years, she had carried the weight of disappointing her family, of believing they would not accept her truth. But here, in the most unexpected moment, she found the comfort she had longed for. Claire walked beside her, watching her face soften. "Who is it?" she asked gently. Sandra whispered, "My mother." "She finally understands." Keanu's voice came through the phone, quiet but filled with emotion. "That's it, Sandra. You faced the world, and now the people who matter most are standing with you. This is what healing looks like." Sandra pressed the phone closer, her voice breaking but strong. "Keanu, thank you. I don't think I could have done this without you," he answered, steady and kind as always. "You did this because you found your own strength. I just reminded you it was there." They walked together into the night, Claire at her side, Keanu still present in every word he spoke. In the days that followed, the world's reaction was divided. Some voices were cruel, others doubtful, but far more were voices of kindness, stories from people who found courage in hers. Letters poured in, messages from strangers across the globe, all saying the same thing. "Thank you for speaking. You helped me find my voice, too." Sandra read each one, her tears falling freely, but these were not tears of sorrow anymore. They were tears of connection, of knowing her pain had been transformed into something greater. One evening, as she sat quietly by her window, she whispered to herself, "My secret no longer owns me. I own it, and I will use it to bring light where there was darkness." She thought of her younger self, the one who had suffered in silence, the one who believed she had to carry it alone. And she wished she could reach back through time and tell that girl, "You will survive this. One day you will stand tall again." In that moment, she felt a deep peace settle inside her. Keanu's words still echoed in her heart. Real strength is not hiding your wounds, but showing them. And now her wounds had become her gift, a reminder to others that healing was possible, that silence was not the answer, and that even in the darkest nights, kindness and resilience could bring the dawn. The story of Sandra's secret did not end with shame. It ended with freedom. It ended with connection. And most of all, it ended with hope.